Good afternoon.
Welcome. Here we are at the remarkable 4th Annual Festival of Books in Tucson, Arizona, which I understand has become the 4th largest book festival in the United States. Yeah, let's give a hand. It's really seems to keep growing, and the weather's cooperated. It's been a glorious day. We want to thank the sponsors of this session, the Flynn Foundation and Arizona Public Media, and we thank each of you for attending. My name is Stu Mellan, and my day job is I'm the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Southern Arizona, and I have the privilege of moderating the session. Advice was given to me before I came in that my moderation should be in moderation, so that was very good advice, I think. We're also very excited to be welcoming our viewing audience all around the world, which has a very nice ring to it, through the auspices of BookTV, as we are, in fact, live. So when we get to Q&A, we'll put you to a mic, and we'll be in good shape. Before we introduce our very special guest, I think we're going to give you a little bit of a taste of her work. This is my cue. Did you see that subtle cue? We actually have a 3-minute trailer about her book, which will give you some ideas. Here we go.
In her latest book, Hey America, Your Roots Are Showing, detailing her adventures solving forensic and historical mysteries. How did DNA reveal that Alex Haley, the author of the best-selling book Roots, was Scottish? How did Annie Moore, the first to arrive at Ellis Island, have her identity stolen? And how was the true Annie rediscovered? How did tombstones in Ohio reveal Barack Obama's Irish roots? And why would the Army, coroners, NCIS, and the FBI enlist the help of a genealogist?
Wonderful. I think we have at least an hour's worth of questions here that you're ready to ask. Let me tell you that we are going to hear about some of these cases, and some will leave some time for you to pick out the ones you want to focus on, because really it's quite a list of greatest hits for Megan. Megan has appeared on Good Morning America, The Today Show, CNN, NPR, the BBC, has consulted on shows ranging from Who Do You Think You Are to, believe it or not, Top Chef. Fascinating. She's the author of 6 books, including her just released, as you saw, Hey America, Your Roots Are Showing. She's referred to as the Indiana Jones of genealogy, so it's no wonder that C-SPAN chose to select this session for broadcast today. Please let's welcome Megan Smolenyak.
Thank you.
So start by telling us, how did this journey begin for you?
For me, I got into genealogy way back in the 6th grade. It was a homework assignment for me. It's all Mrs. Berkowitz's fault. Yeah, she made us go home one night and find out where our surnames were from. And the next day we came back to school and there was a big old world map and we had to put our names in our country of origin. And I remember actually feeling sorry for my classmates because most of them were crowded around the British Isles. And I had the whole of the then Soviet Union to myself. And that's when I realized, hey, there's something a little bit different about my heritage. And that's all it took to spark my curiosity. And I happened to live in the D.C. area, so I was the twisted 16-year-old, you know. I wanted to turn 16, not to get a driver's license, but to be able to go to the National Archives without an adult. You know, I saved up my allowance to buy death certificates. I mean, I just got... I got started young.
Did this trouble your parents?
Yeah, but I was already the kind of geek writing 100-page school papers when I was 11, so this was nothing new for them.
So where's Mrs. Berkowitz today? Does she know about you? You have to check in on her and tell her your story. She would appreciate hearing it. Well, you must have loved puzzles as a kid. I mean, it seems like you had to be such an inquisitive person and also a very persistent person to pursue this kind of work. It's not something that comes easily.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I was speaking in a bookstore recently, and a bunch of journalism students came, which I thought was interesting. And one of them asked me, what had I learned through all this research about myself, which is something I'd never pondered before. But I thought about it for a moment, and it's kind of what you just said, that I am endlessly curious. I just have this need to know. There's certain stories that just capture my attention, and I have to know. And yes, I am stubborn as all get out. I'm not very good at taking no for an answer, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes not. But it's really helpful when you're dealing with these stubborn history mysteries to just be ridiculously persistent. Yeah.
Well, okay, since I do have the mic, I'm going to ask you about the chapter that just grabbed me, and that's the connection between Al Sharpton and Strom Thurmond, which was, as Megan's book characterized, both ran for the office of the Presidency of the United States, one on a platform of racial segregation and the other on racial justice. And I'd really love to hear the story of how you got started on that and that particular journey.
That one, like some of my stories, that was almost an accident. What happened in that instance is I was spokesperson for a company called Ancestry.com. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. And it was February, a few years back, and they had a new record collection coming out, a Black history record collection, okay? And so they pitched to a number of journalists, hey, would you be interested in covering this new collection? And this one fellow said, well, yeah, it would be if you do Celebrities' Roots. And so they said yes, and I was chief family historian, so I did the research as well. And he had just been to James Brown's funeral with Al Sharpton, and so he was the one who picked Al Sharpton. And it started out as a challenge. It was basically, hey, if this new collection is so good, what can you find out in like 48 hours? And little did we know what was waiting for us. But yeah, so I had to just dive in, and I started to put together the pieces. And at one point, Tony Burrows became involved. He's a well-known genealogist who specializes a lot in African-American genealogy, also happens to have heritage in the same neck of the woods. And so he mentioned that this was what he called Thurmond territory. And that was sort of interesting, but not particularly relevant at the time. But the journalist, when I went and shared my initial findings, was so intrigued, he said, okay, keep digging. What else are you going to find? And so I went and did a little bit more sleuthing because I wanted to find the paper trail. It was pretty obvious to me what the situation was, but I wanted to find the paper trail to prove it. And one of the remarkable things that didn't get out there is Al Sharpton's great-grandfather, Coleman Sharpton was his name, he was actually bought and sold like 3 times by the time he was 4. And